Superman reviews are out, and it seems it's either the best Superman film you've ever seen, or you can't stand the thing and it's absolute ass. The reviews really do range from utterly charmless, as funny as a toothache, this migraine of a movie is superhero soup, James Gunn's indigestible mush, is it a bust, is it a pain? James Gunn's dim reboot is both, but that's countered by not only the best Superman movie, but the best comic book movie of the last few years. And James Gunn gives DC the glow up they needed in 2025. I'm not sure that using Superman and glow up in the same sentence is that much of a compliment, but that's the way it was intended.
Giving them a little bit of that.
It's a bald off. 3, 2, 1. Bald. Even though you're bald, you still have ears.
Give them some dome.
Looks like a mouse run over by a car.
You give me nothing to work with.
We even had celebrations that IGN gave it an 8. Wonderfully entertaining, heartfelt cinematic reset. James Gunn will carry us through any storytelling corners he's cutting. Even in the good reviews, there are caveats. James Gunn is dense.
Bald.
Sorry, no, Superman is a dense and at times overwhelming adventure, but it feels like the right one for the moment. Now, it's worth pointing out that IGN's 8 means that although it is good, and they do like it, it's still not as good as Willow. I think that has to be pointed out. Willow, still a much better piece of entertainment than James Gunn's Superman. That's why I like IGN, they've got taste.
Taken me a long time to figure out who I am.
Could you stop heavy breathing, please? It's really distracting.
I knew from the moment that I saw you that there was something special inside of you.
Was it you? She's even looking at me. Did you really say that? I mean, come on.
I admit I'm disappointed.
The cameraman wasn't there, was he? But if you're after something that is equivalent, so you know where the quality bar lands, well, Superman is just about as good as She-Hulk. So if you like She-Hulk, you're in for a banger here.
There's a hot chick over there. I'm gonna go talk to it.
Sorry, I'm sad and lonely.
Screen Rant seemed to come out with one of the most positive ones, where he said, I had high hopes for the DC universe, and James Gunn spectacularly managed to surpass them. James Gunn seems to be central to a lot of the reviews, but featuring in the titles all the time. It's actually quite rare when you talk about a movie, that unless there's some identity they really want to push to the forefront, they keep banging on about the creators. I see the creators of the show more like a chef who's making a steak. As long as the steak's nice, I don't really care who cooked it. In fact, I would prefer not to know. But James Gunn made himself central to this movie and central to the marketing of it, which seems to be one of the signs of whether you will like this movie or not. Even Grace Randolph thought that James Gunn was damaging this movie a bit, which is when James Gunn gets out of the way and lets his work speak for itself. It's incredible. Now, there is one thing which did not divide the fans. There's one part of the marketing that everyone can get behind, and that is the red carpet itself. Every time a movie has a red carpet, you get scenes like this, and every time I have the same question. Why didn't they dress like that in the movie? You wanted people to like Lois, she should have been in that. And when you see the rest of the cast on the red carpet, it just gets worse. And by worse, I mean better. I shouldn't be watching the premiere thinking, the people that designed those dresses should have designed the superhero costumes. When they want their next job, they look like that. But when they're in the movie, you uglify them as much as possible. Actually quite impressive. You should employ whoever designed that dress to make your costumes. And then whoever decided to turn Isabella from this into this should be in prison. That should genuinely be a crime in entertainment. It is the ultimate when we dress ourselves versus when Hollywood dress us. Even the CW had a better costume than you did. The pissing CW! You probably knocked off tens of millions of dollars. Hollywood, you desperately need to employ straight men in your marketing team. Superman's marketing proved that, but they also need control over how movies look.
Much more consistent with the size, very tight.
If I'm anything, I'm consistent with my size.
Bald! Remember the Transformers movie?
Pretty impressive, Sam. It squirts. It looks like your distributor cap's a little...
That scene wasn't chosen because men like talking about distributor caps. Now, Superman is launching the DCU. It needs to be a success, as this will be a high watermark for the rest of the universe. And in 2025, superheroes so far have remained shaky and the budgets are way too high for what they're pulling in. Minecraft did gangbusters, but the others, not so much. As it is, depending on what numbers you go off, the movie is looking to launch to around 200 million plus, with maybe 100 million domestic, 130 million domestic. And I think something to bear in mind is it launched in America, I think yesterday, whereas in the UK, it's not launching until Friday. So the domestic box office will be much wider than internationals. Now, some cause for concern is when James Gunn came out and it's like, it doesn't need to make 700 million or something in order to be a hit. That's just nonsense. It doesn't need to be as big of a situation as people are saying. And I would say that this is just setting expectations. And he wouldn't be going, it doesn't need to make 700 million. if he thought it was easily going to make over 700 million. Although I do think that saying it's not that big a deal, not a big situation if the movie fails, is just pure cope. It's like if the Minecraft movie had failed, it would have been bad for game movies because Minecraft is the largest gaming IP. If the biggest name you have fails, that is bad news for all of your smaller IPs. When you look at more aggregate scores of the reviews though, the 96% you can basically ignore. It's only from 1,000 ratings because it has to go through a website, you have to jump through a load of hoops. And Rotten Tomatoes locked down that score so much, it's basically meaningless now. I couldn't review that because I buy my tickets at the cinema to go into the cinema. That's how stupid the audience score is. But when it comes to the critic score, holding strong at 85%, so that means 85% of people think this movie is above a 5. Whereas over on Metacritic, you have a 70 or 46 critic reviews. And of course, people immediately started to rub it in Snyder's face. I don't have a dog in that fight. I just find the fight funny. I don't really care who wins. I just like watching it. I get the same kind of enjoyment out of that as I do watching Ironheart fight in a kitchen. This review, what I say, I'll keep spoiler free. It doesn't mean things may not be in the articles, so if you don't want spoilers, I advise you not to read the screen. It's always interesting when these movies have polar opposite views, as you often find that the reviews they give are the same. They talk about the same events, the same thing happens, the same character development, often the same problems. It just tends to be how much those problems annoy them at that time. And so when it comes to the more middling reviews from Variety, you can find those problems down at the bottom. The super busy quality of Superman is what works for it, and at times against it. The movie rarely slows down long enough for its characters to mediate on their shifting realities. Gunn constructs an intricate game of superhero saga that's arresting and touching and occasionally exhausting in equal measure. Superman reverts to an almost enchanting state of childlike wonder. Superman is the most comic book movie ever, for better and for worse. The film seems so devoted to creating a sense of outside otherworldliness that it tips over into Uncanny Valley. Bright primary colors feel freakish and cartoony. It has an abominable visual style, shot like an 8-year-old's dream of a comic book. Fisheye lenses which only serve to disorientate the viewer. It's a baffling cinematic experience, overloaded with stuff, not just subplots and twists, but fully fledged character arcs. Watching Superman is like turning into the finale of a TV show you haven't seen, or switching on halfway through an episode. Crowded, chaotic. Those are the more professional style of critique, where you're on about the camera equipment, the framing of it, the color palette of a movie. None of these things I think would bother me too much, or nor would being overstuffed. I like the John Wick movies, and that's just action from start to finish. I'm not sure having too many things would really bother me about a movie. The problem for me is if they don't go anywhere. Like there was a scene they released where they spend 30 seconds talking about his glasses.
He wears hypno glasses. They make his face look different.
I often feel I have a different definition of what overstuffed means. It's not overstuffed if it has a lot of characters that never do anything. Now, Sean Chandler said, and once he pointed it out, I couldn't stop noticing it, a high percentage of the rotten ratings are coming from UK critics. Things like funny as a toothache, superhero soup. Gunn's approach to the nerdosphere is like a giddy amnesiac who has missed the precipitous rise and fall of multi-character superhero movies, and is instead stuck in the 2010s. It plods dutifully along with some ironic genre gags that would have been cut from even the weakest episode of the satire The Boys. There are glimmers of intrigue, quirks, and curios. There's a belabored running gag about the Office gopher Jimmy Olsen being irresistible to women.
Bald!
But can they alter the fate of the universe and make better superhero movies? If only. Even The Guardian didn't like it, and they like communism. Square-faced soullessness. An uninteresting crisis of confidence in Gunn's cluttered, pointless franchise restarter. Noticing the patterns of even the people that liked it and disliked it. Oh, there's too much in the movie though. It's the commonalities between the positive and negative reviews that I like, as that allows you, rather than trusting any of their certain opinion, to work out how big of a problem they are for you, and then make your own informed decision. This is a film occupying the heart-sinking Venn diagram between franchise exhaustion and AI soullessness. A film fatally unconvinced of the reason for its own existence. We really needed to get back to basics, remind us why we liked them in the first place. It should have been exciting, escapist, and fun. We needed clarity, simplicity, something destined to put the heart back into America. Yet this is encumbered with pointless and cluttered new backstory. Remember backstory, the thing that James Gunn said he was going to avoid? Oh, we don't need the origin stories, we could just jump in at the interesting bit. Which is what I wanted, and then you've got to have 50 different characters giving you backstory.
He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
Only the repeated and laborious quotation of John Williams' theme remind you of happier times. What is the point of a film so stymied in its digitally encoded and generically prescribed world that it can't even go through the motions, as that would imply some level of activity and signs of life? How many more superhero films in general, with some faux apocalypse in the middle of a big city? Okay, this is just coming across like you don't like superhero movies. I'm not sure that this in particular is a criticism of Superman compared to I'm fed up of these movies. It's kind of just, look, please don't make me review any more of them, I beg you. Even when moving away from sort of the media outlets to more of a YouTube sphere though, Yellow Flash says Superman was great, nothing woke, and the immigrant thing was BS. It's a fun comic book movie, and unapologetically so. Someone else said, I liked it. Some stuff I didn't really care for, but was good overall. Few parts felt oddly out of place, but I think that's fair. It's a very silly movie. Reactions are going to be split. I thought it was fun, but if you didn't like Gunn's work before, you won't like this. The comment that said you'll either love or hate Superman is true. Kids will probably love it, and that dog is going to sell a lot of merch. Yeah, that explains why all the marketing had a certain demographic in mind.
Gonna take this, and give you...
a princess.
Put a dog on screen. I don't have any babies myself. Or Garrett, this movie will be polarizing. I didn't like it purely for filmmaking reasons, but I'm glad we can get back to that kind of discourse about a movie. Superman allows you to get hyped with all the bright colors, but it narratively falters. And it wasn't woke, but it was a total disappointment. When it comes to me, I am not impressed by James Gunn at all. I really like Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I hated 2, then I watched 3 2 days ago. I was like, oh, glad I missed this. The only appealing part to me was the flashback scenes, and they made me hate Rocket. So, I don't think they had the effect they intended. But I find Flash's comment interesting. If you didn't like Gunn's work, you won't like this. And I have a feeling that might explain the English reviews of things like, it's as funny as a toothache. One of the reasons I don't like James Gunn movies is the humor is ass. It's not funny. It's like anti-funny. Now, I largely don't get American humor as a whole, so a lot of the time I don't know whether it's actually not funny or it's just not my kind of thing. But James Gunn just isn't funny. He's like Taika Waititi. If someone says they find him funny, I question their mental state.
What you least expect that you're going to want to see is Thor going through a midlife crisis.
Huh, okay, cool.
And I think that has something to do with the UK reviews of the movie, because James Gunn humor is the antithesis of British humor. You can't get further away, and so it comes across as painful. Then again, the San Francisco Chronicle didn't like it either, so, you know, maybe he's just not funny. And marketing for Superman has been all over the place. Even Google got involved. Heavily focused on the dog because they know what their target demographic is. Not the one that'll turn up in the movie, but it's the one Hollywood's desperately wanted for years that doesn't watch superhero movies. Maybe this time they'll go because there's a dog in it. Then maybe next time they'll go because Baby Yoda's in it. Then maybe next time they'll go because there's a baby of something else in it. Can't imagine what they want. They hate babies. How is David Corenswet as Superman in the reboot? He essentially features so little, it's hard to tell. Rarely has an actor appeared in virtually every scene of a film while barely being in the thing at all. If that's true, I consider that to be a big negative in the movie. Because one of the only things that the very effeminate marketing of this movie has managed to do has make me like the 3 main actors. Corenswet especially has been dodging PR questions like Neo himself and putting out fires all over the place, despite others pointing nuclear weapons at their own feet.
If you don't like that, then you're not American. People who say no to immigrants are against the American way.
Truth, justice, and the American way.
Absolutely.
Oh, James has said that Superman is an immigrant story, that it is political. MAGA today was getting a little upset that he called Superman an immigrant. I wanted to get your reaction.
Somebody needs a hug. It's just a movie, guys. It's just a movie.
There is a lot of Superman action, but precious little of the shy, bumbling Clark Kent, the similarly misused, although not underused, Rachel Brosnahan. But nothing escapes the deafening tumult of a rolling apocalypse. CGI further increasing the dislocation and confusion. This is a guy that didn't like Snyder either, before anyone goes, Snyder bro! Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, Metamorpho, and Mr. Terrific are all perfectly tolerable. The tone is, as you'd expect, just like Guardians of the Galaxy, endlessly larkish and sophomoric. It's nice that he clears space for Crypto, but the Mutt's exploits are so blandly digital. There's a few hilariously misguided references to punk rock in a movie costing over $225 million, but the cartoonish closing battles make it clear that, not for the first time, Gunn is striving for high trash, but what he achieves is low garbage, utterly charmless, devoid of humanity, and as funny as a toothache. And I think that last bit is some of the more damning criticism, is that is what James Gunn kept saying. Oh, this movie is about hope. We need hope and kindness and humanity. But I've seen his previous movies. It's what you'd show a 3-year-old on E-Numbers. If you do like James Gunn movies, this seems like more of the same. It's just I have a feeling I'll be more with the Irish Times when it comes to this one. Even places like Entertainment Weekly say the actors are great, but it's the script that's kryptonite. Superman is less superpowered than we'd hoped. Everyone keeps complaining about skipping the origin story. I don't care. Start at the action bit. Your movie should explain who the characters are just via their actions. Every day we go outside and meet thousands of people we've never met before. They don't go, bald, hi, I used to do this. I don't care. The things that you're doing now should tell me what you are. It even says it's the story about why he's discovering his humanity. The core of who he is his best asset. Except, reviews are saying it doesn't have any. See what I mean about contradictory? So I think if you like James Gunn stuff, you'll probably think it's loads of heart, loads of it. If only the narrative wasn't mired in paper-thin geopolitics, a carousel of characters whose names we barely register, an assumption that superhero shorthand will beat story development. There's dismayingly little of the Daily Planet here, particularly anything of Clark Kent, another trend. There are clear parallels to contemporary politics here, with Lex smearing Superman as an alien who doesn't belong. I'm happy to deport him if you want to keep pushing this.
People who say no to immigrants are against the American way.
I'll deport Superman, I don't care. And personally, I've already seen that Superman movie, you know the one, where it was just 3 immigrants trying to make a better life for themselves. You can't judge them. They're just from a different culture than you are. Holt plays the narcissistic villainy with a deranged glee. There are shades of it there, but he never gets the chance to fully unleash it. Forget any explanations about why Luthor hates Superman, which is actually one of the things I was looking forward to. As the reason why he hates him is like the point. You just hate someone because you hate them. There's nothing to grab onto there. But I did always like the idea that Luthor was against Superman because this guy has the power to destroy the world. And so somebody's got to stand up for him. Oh, Superman says he's a good person. But what if he changes his mind? Somebody has to be prepared to beat him. That's where you get into the ideas territory of it rather than just childish tantrums. Like, oh, he's jealous of Superman, I don't care. But if you get into explorations of ideas, such as what bad would you do to somebody who's good now, but may not be in the future, what would be morally acceptable to mitigate that threat? That's an interesting thing to explore. And James Gunn did say in an interview that they would explore the difference between Superman having a no-kill rule and other people who thought, actually no, so there are some people where killing them is morally justified. I'm interested in exploring those kind of ideas in movies. I think that's why movies exist. No one's talking about that though. So I can only assume it's not there. The action sequences are fun, well staged, thoroughly photographed set pieces, but they're also erratic, cutting between a fight and Luthor's IT crew. Okay, maybe that works in a movie. That sounds odd. Why do these people and a metahuman subsume their humanity for him? Unclear. Well, this is the thing, it could be their humanity. If they're like, no, this is an alien who has the power to destroy our world, he shouldn't be allowed to do it. That's a very human idea. But the reason why they would never explore that is because it would be justified, and as such will provide a justified and reasonable opposition to the message that you want to push, which is why it weakens the movie. Because there's just an empty hole there where an idea, a contrary reason, should have existed. It's the quieter scenes that shimmer with greatness. Balls! That's unfortunate because a lot of the reviews said that those are few and far between. And you also get the genuine, crackling chemistry between the two of them, which they just kept banging on about in the marketing all the time.
That's such a nice thing to say.
Yeah, that's the point of the game.
Their kissing scenes are more electric and sensual than any other thing in cinema. I don't care. Again, this is for the audience that like Baby Yoda. There's a reason that in male movies, he gets the girl at the end. It's because it's the least important part of the film. It's the reward for doing the action, but it's not actually the point of the movie. Not the entertaining bit. But for all of its messiness, which is the reason a lot of people don't like the movie, one has to praise Gunn for restoring light, humor, and romance. His signature quippy wit injects welcome levity to the world that should always be fun. There's a lot of things where I say, yeah, in other Superman movies, they lacked comedy. Does it need that, though? Are we really sitting there going, oh, I hope this guy tells a joke next? That's why I go to superhero films. It's not their heroism, it's the American jokes. It's very difficult to be funny in Hollywood because all the best jokes are about you.
Talking of all you perverts, their job isn't acting anymore. It's going to the gym twice a day and taking steroids, really. Have we got an award for most ripped junkie?
Is your friend. Whether Gunn fell victim to the kryptonite of excessive studio notes, his desire to populate the film with stalwart company of actors, or the hubris of not needing to offer reasons to be invested in these characters beyond the mere factor of their existence, there is the unquestionable love for the material and the passion for the goofier, larger-than-life scenarios of comic book lore. An excellent cast but there's capacity for something truly super in a future film. If only Gunn chooses to put the character's humanity first. And that seems to be the running commentary. That it's got Gunn's signature humor like everyone expected, and if you like that, that'll be a definite plus. For everyone else, it's going to feel like your brain is liquefying in real time. If you wanted heart and humanity, that's open to interpretation. A lot of people say it doesn't have any, even the people that gave it a B-, whereas some people absolutely adore it. I'm wondering if that's influenced by the humor itself, or you just think that humanity means it's got a doggo in it and a romance story. Maybe if you're a big fan of The Handmaid's Tale, you'll get a kick out of it. People like the three main actors, it's just they don't seem to actually get to do much in the movie. If Clark Kent's barely in it, and you come away from the movie not even knowing why Lex doesn't like Superman, I think we definitely needed to work a bit more on the storytelling aspect of the story. But you know what? I think one comment has stayed with me in one of the reviews that I watched. And I have a feeling that when I go and see it on Friday, judging by my dislike of James Gunn's sense of humor, me caring far more about the ideas of a movie rather than someone's most basic shallow feelings, I think this will be me.
And that out-of-place James Gunn humor just killed a lot more than it added to this movie. And it'd probably be a better time if you're drunk. Yeah, what a bummer.
But what do you think of the reviews and the opinions so far? Is it making you plan and see in the movie? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe, more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.